enforcement of the 20-25 seconds, and we do have hawk eye in operation as well. Heads or tails? Heads. Heads call, James. It is a head.
Receive.
Receive. Okay, have a good game, guys.
Ramos wins the toss. He will receive. James Blake and Albert Ramos will play the nightcap here at the Sony Open. Spot in the round of 16 on the line for these two. And the winner will take on Jürgen Meltzer, who got through his match in 3 sets over Kamka today, the young man who had beaten Del Potro earlier in the tournament.
Yeah, that was a hard-fought victory, wasn't it? It wasn't pretty, some of it. Plenty of breaks of serve throughout, but really did well to win that one 6-4 in the third. Kamka didn't play badly either. He's had a great tournament. Of course, he'll be bitterly disappointed that his run has been cut short.
So this is a real open part of the draw, I would think. Chance for someone to make a quarterfinal here at a Masters 1000 event. Albert Ramos from Spain, he's 25. And Ramos this year has gone no further than the quarterfinals of any tournament. Twice he's done that on clay. This is not his favorite surface.
Yeah, I've been watching him play for a couple of years now, close quarters, and he was one of those players that did excel on that particular surface, clay, and didn't feel as comfortable on hard courts. And it's taken him a while just to understand how to just fine-tune his game a little bit, be a little more aggressive, come in a little more frequently, try and shorten the rallies somewhat. And of course, all of that will help the ranking. There's no question about that, because the season is so long. If you can play well on a lot of different court surfaces, you've got the best possible chance of breaking into the top 50. That's got to be the big goal as far as the Spaniard's concerned now.
Ramos here in Miami. This is matching his best performance from last year, so he's defended those points.
You can see with the overall win-loss record at this level in Masters Series 1000 events, he's only won 9, lost 10, so hasn't had many opportunities to mix it with the very best. He's played most of his tennis at the 250 level. He's played some of the 500 events, but hasn't had a great deal of success at the very highest level.
He's on quite a big stage tonight. I guess an opponent that's pretty used to being on this stage. James Blake, second oldest man in the tournament, behind Tommy Haas, 33 years of age. James won't turn 34 until the end of the year, though, and didn't qualify for the Australian Open and has just slowly been coming back, playing himself into form. I heard him say a couple of weeks ago that he still believes he can play with the top guys. And that was a big part of it for him, is just having that belief in his game, which was starting to fade.
Yeah, well, that's been the problem, hasn't it? The last couple of years, I've seen him play matches where his game's been way off the pace. And, of course, the rankings dropped as a result. He hasn't been able to play a lot of tournaments in a row to build up a good head of steam whilst fully fit. That's been problematic for him. And, you know, of course, he's a great shot maker, and he always has been. Speed around the court has been one of his great attributes, as has the shot making, of course. But when you're not playing well and you're not confident, you're still going for your shots, you're going to make a lot of unforced errors, and that's been the problem really in many of his matches. So it's been nice to see him this season start to get a few matches under his belt, and we've seen some semblance of the form that saw him get to the very top of the game. And I watched him play earlier this week, and I was very impressed with his ball striking and his movement, good attitude as well. He's missed the game, he's still got a big love for it, so it's nice to see him out there on one of the biggest stages that we have in our particular sport, and hopefully we'll see a good performance from him this evening.
Only one previous meeting between these two. That was at the U.S. Open Series event in Winston-Salem last year. And Blake winning that comfortably in straight sets.
Yeah, you've got to say, obviously, on a hard court that Blake would fancy his chances, even though his ranking's a little lower at 95 in the world. He's a former world number 4. And he's played some of his best tennis on this particular surface, where, of course, Ramos more at home on a clay court. So that, and the fact that he's been playing well of late, means that in his mind, surely he must be the favourite coming into this one.
Jerry Armstrong, we saw him at the coin toss in the tier, the veteran umpire. Guys are in good hands tonight.
Yeah, he's a big Spurs fan. is the umpire back home in the Premier League. He's nice and fit too. He likes to get out there, do a lot of running as well. Really nice guy. Does a bit of umpiring, does a bit of refereeing. Likes to mix it up a little bit, but still likes getting back up there in the chair just to keep his eye in. But well-respected official, no question about it.
The semi-finals in Sao Paulo and his first ATP World Tour final in Casablanca. This year, he reached the quarterfinals in Buenos Aires and Villa del Mar. He's making his second appearance here at the Sony Open. He's here from Spain. Please welcome Albert Ramos. And finally, our Czech umpire, Jerry Armstrong, welcomes all of you this evening. He's asked me to remind you to please turn the flash feature off on your cameras. Please turn your cell phones to the silent position. Thanks for your cooperation.
Ramos wins over Hajcek, and a good win over Juan Monaco, who was a semi-finalist here last year.
He's had a tough season, hasn't he, so far? Monaco.
Yeah, he's really been struggling.
It's a surprise because, you know, he's a very consistent performer. And another one that initially, of course, had a lot of success on clay, but then learned how to be almost as effective on a hard court. It's something that Ramos has been trying to do as well over the course of the last, 2 seasons or so.
James Blake and Albert Ramos will end the evening here at the Sony Open Tennis, with one spot remaining to be claimed in the round of 16 in this part of the draw. Winner will face Meltzer in a couple of days in that round of 16. James Blake, this is a good draw for him. He's been playing good tennis. See if he can come through and make the round of 16 here. First time he's gotten this far in 2 years. Wins over Ryan Harrison and Julian Benito. 2 quality wins to set up this meeting with Ramos.
He's a good lefty, Ramos. He's got a good forehand on him. So this is the first test that Blake will have. Will he just play his normal game, irrespective of the fact that he's up against a left-hander, or will he fine-tune his shot selection and the patterns of play right from the off? Like that, where normally you would go back behind a right-handed opponent to try and get to their backhand. There, of course, against the left-hander, you go into the open court to try and get to their backhand.
Blake is constantly trying to impose himself on his opponent.
Difficulty, isn't it, when you're up against a lefty? You hit that forehand cross court and you want to try and run around your backhand. The ball's coming into your body all the time. And of course, that's a tactic that Blake likes to use because the backhand is a little weaker than the forehand. So, you know, if I was a lefty, I'd quite fancy my chances against Blake of exposing that weaker wing.
He lifts that volley out, and right away Blake is facing break point in this opening game. Is it a fair statement that Blake's the kind of player that comes to the court with one game plan? If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
That's been a criticism that's been leveled at him throughout his career.
And, you know, it can be a criticism or it can just be simple. I mean, it works for him. I mean, as an American, I've been following James for years, and when he's on, there's not a lot of guys more fun to watch. But when he's off, it can be excruciating.
No, you're absolutely right. But when we talk about the best players in the world, that's not the case, is it?
Right.
You know, when they're on, they win. When they're not playing particularly well, they still try and find a way to win. And that's the difference between a great ball striker, which Blake is and always has been, and an excellent competitor, which sometimes he isn't. Because, of course, an excellent competitor will utilize what they've got on the match court on any given day and try and find a way to win. That might mean taking pace off the shot. It might mean just getting a lot of balls back in play. It might mean using a slice backhand a lot, serving and volleying. Blake doesn't tend to do that. He just tends to, as you quite rightly suggest, play to his strengths. You know, takes the returns early, big forehand, takes big cuts at the ball, hits it hard, relatively flat. And if it's on, then of course it's very difficult to defend against that. But if it's not, you're going to really rack up unforced errors very, very quickly.
Blake looked a little aggravated at how long he's had to wait on Ramos to change sides. Blake went straight to the other side, and Ramos made him wait. Of course, getting broken in the first game compounds the problem.
It's going to be key. First serve percentage for Ramos. If he can get a high percentage of first serves in, being a lefty, they'll be going primarily to the Blake backhand, and that's got to help his cause. But we know the American's going to run around that second serve and club those forehands. So if he can do that when it really matters, then he's in with a shout. That was 91 miles an hour, that first return.
Another good return.
Yeah, that's the key against the lefty if you're a right-hander in the ad court, taking the ball early so that you don't get outmaneuvered. You don't get pulled wide of that double sideline. You're always going to be a bit wider than the single sideline, but if you don't take that early, then you expose the rest of the court.
Well, for a clay quarter like Ramos, Jason, I would think it would be very intimidating to step up to serve against James Blake.
Yeah, because you get time taken away and you've got so much pressure to make your first serve. Sometimes it means you'll try and take a bit of pace off it to make sure it goes in. Even a really good neutralizing shot like that last forehand will get punished by Blake if he's got time to run around that backhand and club the forehand.
Have made a first serve. Blake's seen nothing but second serves here. Break point too.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if he goes to backhand, he's going to step well inside the baseline, take that ball on the rise. So first serve percentage is going to be something that we're going to need to keep a close eye on throughout the course of the match. There's the difference. You know, it's not a big serve, that.
30-40.
5 miles an hour, got a bit of slice on it. There's no way Blake can attack that as viciously as he would a second serve.
One break point left to face here for Ramos.
Let first service.
Blake breaks. So back-to-back breaks.
One game on.
As Blake doesn't let this get away from it.
No, he did an excellent job in that game of taking time away from Ramos, and of course he made good use of those looks that he got at his second serve. But that's one of the things that the Spaniard will have to adjust to very, very quickly. The fact that Blake takes the ball so early and he has less time to prepare between shots.
15 love.
Normally he'll play somebody that will stand behind the baseline, even on a hard court, and that will just allow him to get into a bit more of a rhythm, to have a little more time to prepare for the ground strokes. Not Blake. So aggressive.
30 love.
Blake on the verge of having the lead for the first time in this match. Got broken in his opening service game. And quickly recovers. And quickly and James Blake belong in the same sentence for a number of reasons. Blake in front on serve, 1-2 opening set.
Stay connected at the Sony Open. As a matter of fact, I'm standing next to Caroline Wozniacki, who was the #1 tweeter in the world for 67 straight weeks. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's not okay, but again, it was number one tennis player. That's the good.
I think we can do more and do research a little bit. Caroline, can you tell everybody out there how to stay connected with Sony Open?
Yeah, that's actually an easy one. Be sure to use hashtag Sony Open Tennis when tweeting to stay connected to Sony Open Tennis all year long.
Well said.
Blake, of course, returns exceptionally well, and one of the advantages is the ability to take the ball as early as he possibly can, and that's something that he's done throughout the course of this event. It gives himself a little bit more time to return the first serves. Those are yellow balls, but still, when pushed wide on both the right and the left courts, some of those are inside the baseline. But look at those second serve returns. Some of those, meter and a half, some of them even 2 meters inside the baseline when he makes contact with the ball. That takes so much time away from his opponents, causes them all sorts of problems.
Fifteen love.
What I was talking about. He takes that ball so early, and Ramos had just finished his service motion, and then suddenly he's just having to defend on the backhand. Doesn't even have time to get 2 hands on the racket. So there's nothing he can do there other than just simply try and bunt the ball back in play. And then Blake surging forwards all over the net, and you can win the vast majority of points when they're set up as beautifully as that off an aggressive return.
Now Blake attacks so fast, you have to take that play away from him somehow. That's a good move by Ramos there. Didn't let himself get vulnerable to that attack. Too much pace for Ramos.
30 all.
And Blake's in business here, 30 all.
The Spaniards, as a nation, really like a lot of time on the ball. They stand behind the baseline. They like to prepare, take big cuts at it. We saw Nadal in Indian Wells standing so far behind the baseline to return. And so this will trouble Ramos, no question about it. But occasionally he's going to get it wrong. Because when you take a big cut at it and you don't quite time it, it can go anywhere.
Blake was desperately trying to get to break point.
That's the play for me. Just got to take a bit of pace off that first serve, make sure you get it in, especially when serving to the ad court.
2 games all.
That was only 95 miles an hour, but plenty of slice on it. Blake can't really hurt him with a return off the backhand wing to that side. And then, if you can get around and use your forehand as the first ground stroke, you've got every chance to dictate play.
2-all.
15 love.
Ramos with the miss hit. It still works though.
Because he showed us some nice variation on the penultimate shot of the rally as far as he was concerned. Surprised Blake. That one there was a little wobbly, wasn't it? Fortunately, Blake had overrun it.
Another big shot from Ramos. He's hitting way bigger than I expected him to.
15, 13.
I think he realizes that he does need to take a few risks, and I quite like that play against Blake.
Yeah.
Because often he likes to run around the backhand, so if you go straight to the forehand, he's not quite as effective.
Ramos's ball seems to pose
15,
some problems
14.
for Blake. It's just the height of it.
Yeah, if you want to think about, a lefty who hits a lot of topspin to a right-hander with a single-handed backhand, you only have to think about Nadal and Federer, don't you? And that's the problem that Nadal poses. Similar scenario here, but on a smaller scale.
Blake's again facing break point. Got broken in his first service game. But Ramos' serve seems like it's always going to be vulnerable. And again, he comes in at break point and loses it. Did the same thing in the first game. So once again, Ramos has a 1-break lead. The question is, can he hold serve?
I would say swing winners. That's sure.
Fastest serve on the guy's side.
Milos Ramirez.
And then go to Milos Ramirez.
It will be 143 miles an hour. Milos Ramirez is going to serve at 197 miles per hour.
The fastest serve is I think 155 miles an hour.
Okay. Download the Sunny Open app created by ATP to take part in the fan poll.
Blake, of course, has a very specific tactic when attempting to return. We've highlighted how early he takes second serves in particular. Here's a good example. Ramos serving from the far end, and Blake attacking that second serve. Look at the time that the Spaniard has to react to that first shot, just over 1.5 seconds only. So all he can do in a situation like that is defend. And of course, Blake has made the most of all of the looks that he's got at the Spaniard's second serve. He's won 4 of 5 points so far, but Ramos is fighting fire with fire. He's won 6 of 7 points when he's got a look at Blake's second serve as well. So good stuff from both in that regard.
Ramos has the break now. And it's a stat, too, when you watch James Blake matches winners. He's only hit 1 winner so far. And for Blake, through 5 games, that is way below average.
Mr. Blake is challenging.
Blake's going to challenge that.
Sideline. Ball scored
Yeah, I
in.
don't think he's going to get too much joy from boys in the booth.
Nope.
Of course, that's
And quickly 30 love for Ramos.
2 challenges remaining.
Oh, that's a nice serve. Ball tailing
40
away
love.
from Blake.
His numbers improving all the time as far as first serve percentage is concerned. Remember, in the opening game, missed his first 4, and now he's made 10 of 15. So he's made 10 of his last 11 first serves.
(40-15).
May see a few doubles from Ramos, knowing that second serve's got to be so good to avoid Blake attacking it.
And there's nothing wrong with that, as long as it doesn't happen too often. An aggressive error in that respect is sometimes good.
Now, despite some excellent defending, Blake comes out on top in that point.
Yeah, terrific footwork, good
40,
anticipation. Meant that he made Blake work very hard in order to win the points. Maintained his concentration, watched the ball like a hawk on the smash, and in the end didn't try and do too much with it. So good stuff from the American.
Ramos way back behind the baseline. In fact, sliding on the hard court. And he consolidates his break.
4 games to 2.
That was impressive.
Well, this is another impressive forehand, 96 miles an hour, that one.
Just hasn't been enough. Ramos has defended so well. Ramos all the way out of the picture. For where Blake is in terms of his age, he's still so fast around the court.
Yeah, sometimes you lose half a step, don't you, when you sort of hit your 30s, but he's remained in good shape.
Side of the service line.
40-30.
First ace of the match for Blake. And Blake keeps the pressure on Ramos, and he's warming up as well. But still some distance to make up as Albert Ramos, the Spaniard, up a break on Blake here in the opening set.
It's tennis's hottest night out. I'm on the red carpet at the Sony Open Player Party.
Miami, are you ready for me? What's up, Miami? I'm back. Sony Open, here I come. I love Miami fans. I love the Sony Open.
Miami, are you ready for me? Miami, ¿estás preparada para mí?
So this is the Sony Open.
James Blake sitting here, a very good point in his life right now, especially off the court. He married Emily Snyder last November, and they have a little girl. Says that's really changed his perspective, as it does all the guys when they have kids. He and Tommy Haas are both wanting their daughters to see them in their career before it's over. His little girl's named Riley. Ramos up a break. Can he hang on? Is Ramos surprising you at all, Jason?
No, I've seen him play a lot over the last couple of seasons. I like the way he plays. He just struggled initially for confidence on a hard court compared to when he played on clay, but you know that's evolving and improving all the time. Yeah, he's definitely got the necessary weaponry. The serve, being a lefty, is obviously advantageous. The forehand's really good. You know, he's not an incredibly good mover, but good enough. Backhand solid, so as long as the shot selection is good, right attitude, he's a little more aggressive than he is when he plays on a clay court, then why can't he have good results on a hard court?
Looks very comfortable out here.
It's another example of one of those really quick returns, so very little time to react, having just finished his service motion.
Ramos has got his first serve percentage up near 70%, 67% at the moment. He's only lost 3 first serve points. And that's the critical shot for him, getting that first serve in.
Yeah, he's made 15 of his last 18 first serves, and that's very impressive. I think he was just a little nervous initially in the opening service game. He missed 4 in a row. Give Blake a chance to break.
Ramos.
Well, that's a layup for James Blake. It's one he's not normally going to make.
Leads 5 games to
He's not normally going to miss. Blake's having a tough time dealing with Ramos here in this first set.
Love 15.
Blake just hasn't quite gotten going yet. And I think Ramos is a big reason that he may be catching Blake a little bit off guard right now. The good thing about James Blake is you know how he's going to play. And he can have a bad set and come back and win the next one 6-love just as easy as he lost this first one, if he loses it.
30-15.
Wow, what a pass.
That's a lovely shot. It's the advantage of having a double-handed backhand. Sometimes
30 all.
the ability to generate a little more pace with it. But there, added control under pressure. Just used that top hand there, the right hand as far as he was concerned, to get that ball back into court.
Ramos 2 points from closing out the set. So come on, Jason. He's not surprising you a little bit?
No, I've seen him play a lot in the last couple of seasons, and yeah, he can play some good ball. There's no question about that.
Game, Blake.
Blake hangs in there, hoping that Ramos's level drops a bit, because Ramos is going to serve for the opening set after this changeover.
5 games to 4.
Solid opening set here from Albert Ramos, Spaniard that lost to Blake in straight sets last summer in Winston-Salem as part of the Emirates U.S. Open Series. And he has learned from that loss, apparently, because he has managed this set very efficiently despite not having the best serve in the world. But he's used that leftiness to great effect against Blake, and he's on the verge of closing the set out. Been on court half an hour.
It's often a serve that the right-hander has difficulty with when a lefty hits a kick serve out to the forehand. We very rarely see that. It does take us a little while to adjust to it. So that was a sensible serve from Ramos.
Do you see any area that Blake can expose, though, that Ramos is showing himself to be vulnerable?
Yeah, I don't think he's even thinking about that, Blake. Just thinking about executing his game plan, working on making fewer unforced errors and hitting his big shots a little more effectively.
Wow, Ramos is just hitting winners from every place in the court. It's a role reversal. Ramos is playing very Blake-like. Triple set point. Oh, hats off to Ramos. He basically out-Blaked Blake and comes away
6 games to 4
with the opening set. We'll see if he can carry that momentum into the second.
Yeah, good set of tennis. A little nervous initially, I think, and he struggled to make his first serves in the opening service game when he was broken, but thereafter settled down, started doing the basics well. That's what it's all about. And in the end, actually posted some pretty good numbers as far as his serve was concerned. 74% of first serves went in, won the vast majority of those points. Didn't defend his second serve particularly well, but that's why it was so important for him to improve that first serve percentage. So from midway through the set, he gave Blake so few opportunities to attack his weaker offering, and of course he played the big points well. Only had 2 break points and converted both of those. Blake, too many unforced errors. That's often the case. 13 in total there compared to just 4 from his opponent. So he needs to start playing a little better to stand a chance of getting back into the match.
That's what I want to hear.
Time.
Ramos with a very efficient opening set, just 4 unforced errors. Blake needs to get that turned around. 8 winners, 13 unforced errors here heading into the second set.
Second set, James Blake to serve.
It's an aggravated looking James Blake on that changeover.
All about maintaining your concentration if you're Ramos.
15 love.
If he can get off to a decent start in this set, Blake will start to get a little frustrated.
Both men come into this match behind solid wins. Blake's over Beneteau. Ramos over Monaco. So they should arrive here with plenty of confidence.
Yeah, Beneteau played pretty poorly, didn't he? We saw that match on Friday, bonus coverage of it, in fact, to start our broadcast, and he was a little out of sorts, I thought. Blake did play well, though, no question. A very different type of opponent here this evening in Ramos.
Ramos had the shot. It just seems like James is having a tough time hitting through Ramos. He is defending so well back behind that baseline, and then has more often than not picked the right moment to come up and go for the winner.
That's what the Spaniards pride themselves on. And of course, he's 61 in the world, but he's only the 10th ranked Spaniard. Amazing. But of course that has helped him to some degree, because there's very little expectation on him back home in Spain when there's 9 players ranked above you and you're knocking on the door of the top 50. So that's helped him develop with less pressure.
Okay,
Blake holds serve. Good start for him. We've talked a lot about the Spanish patterns of play, Jason, against an opponent like Blake. Are you more at Blake's mercy in trying to use those patterns? Do you have to change your game plan a lot because he's always attacking you, or can you get into those established Spanish patterns?
No, you do. You have to do the basics well, which is what he's done in the match so far. And then you have to hope Blake makes more unforced errors than obviously winners, and that's what's happened as well. If you stick to your game plan, especially given you're a lefty, you hit your forehand cross-court to your opponent's backhand. Blake, especially with the single-hander, struggles on that particular wing. You get a high percentage of first serves in. Use the slice serve a lot. Down the teeth of the juice court, out wide to the ad court.
No, you're not allowed to sit down.
You know, Blake is really going to struggle to try and hurt Ramos because he's going to have to run around his backhand to use his forehand, and in doing so against the lefty, then you open up the court, and Ramos has made good use of that space as well.
Blake was just complaining to Jerry Armstrong about Ramos taking so much time again crossing over, asking him when the clock starts.
And of course, you know, just to finish that point, Sam, he has been rushed into error, hasn't he?
Yeah.
On numerous occasions. So forced errors relatively high, especially early on in the match. But he adjusted well to that too. So you've got to give him a lot of credit. He's played a really solid match so far.
That was one of his bigger first serves of the match, 122 miles an hour.
15.
That's the beauty. When you use the slider to the ad court against the right-hander, most of the time they're not really expecting that serve up the tee when you drop the hammer. So it's doubly effective, even at just 122 miles an hour compared to the big servers that get up to 140, 145.
Just to put the serve speed in perspective, we were seeing him serve at 105 earlier on his first serve. That 122 for Ramos is big.
Yeah, it's a step up. Nice and flat, as opposed to hit with a lot of slice.
Only the second double fault for Ramos.
And both have been good ones. Deep. If you're going to miss, you go deep or wide. You certainly don't want to involve the net in any of that equation. And of course, there's nothing wrong with serving the odd double if you've got a nice aggressive hit on it. Blake's taking that early, so he knows he can't just roll it into the middle of the box.
He's come up with the big shots when he's needed them. That was a tense moment at 30 all. And delivers an ace. It's his first of the match. Fans here trying to get Blake back in this.
Advantage, Blake.
Now here's Blake's chance. Ramos going for the corner. Blake hoping this Ramos storm blows itself out.
That's all about footwork. You know, he's taking a huge cut at the ball, but he's got no base to hit from. He needs to be a little quicker, a little better, get set up, and then really throw his racket at the ball.
Ramos showing some vulnerability here in this game. 2 break points in a row for Blake on this side. James 1 of 4 so far tonight, but he broke back in the first set. This would be the first time he could go up by a break. And Blake has his first outright lead.
That's nice because it's given the fans something to cheer.
Blake
So a poor
leads
final
2 games to
forehand
none.
from Ramos. Didn't need to be that deep, didn't need to go that close to the line. And of course, it's so important to make good use of the fans when you're playing on home soil.
Here's our Emirates ATP rankings factoid. Blake, #1 American back in 2006. He was #4 in the world back then. He's been to some rare air.
15 love.
It's good tennis there. Beautiful little volley. Crucially, didn't try and do too much. Look at the target there, well inside the lines. Set the point up beautifully with that nice aggressive approach. Created the open court.
Blake trying to be the first American into the 4th round this year. Tomorrow, John Isner and Sam Querrey will each have their opportunity. They'll play 3rd round matches here. Querrey against Raonic. I'm looking forward to that one. And Isner against Cilic. Right now, Querrey's the top-ranked American at #20.
40 love.
And a great start to this 2nd set for James Blake. As he's come out guns blazing, is typically the case with him. And he's pulling it off. He's up 3 love.
I think we're 2 down now. 2 balls, yeah, he's just coming.
No, I typically shield myself during the kiss game.
Keep a nice low profile.
Yeah. Ramos with some ground to make up here. Looks worse than it is. It's just a 1-break deficit he's facing.
of length, good height over the net, a lot of top spin. So
15.
it's much more difficult to try and be aggressive off that type of shot.
Second serve ace. That's the first point he's won on his second serve so far in this set. And it was an ace. That was about as fast, even faster than some of his first serves. There's a little anger in that second serve. No.
30-15.
Ramos frustrated at the moment. He's only managed 3 winners, 8 unforced errors.
It's a lot, isn't it? When he was so tidy in the early stages of the match.
Only had 4 unforced errors in the first set.
Yep.
Twice as many already in the first 3 games here. Again, I just think a guy like Ramos with more of a clay court mentality, at some point, the pressure of facing Blake, when you start to miss a couple, all of a sudden magnifies.
Yeah, his arousal level has dipped. It's never a good thing, especially when you've just won a tight opening set. That's allowed Blake to take control of the vast majority of the rallies, and suddenly Ramos has panicked a little bit, made a few more unforced errors, and a very different story now.
Ramos on the board. Get some help from Blake in that game.
Blake leads 3 games to 4.
Blake's first serve percentage now is dipped below 50% for the match. Good hands.
Just a little heavy-handed initially with the first volley. Good anticipatory skills on display for the second.
15 on.
Been easy to panic there a little bit. So surprised that Ramos went cross-court there. Maybe a little lob would have sufficed cross-court, but Blake in the right position at the right time.
Blake's had an excellent year in the doubles this year. He and Jack Sock got to the Memphis final, and then the following week in Delray Beach won the title there. He's won 7 doubles titles over the course of his career.
That is sensational.
Get that out of here.
Terrific approach. Phenomenal athletic skill. The nets with the overhead, superbly done.
Game point Blake. Momentum's been a tough thing to hang on to in this match. But still game point. And Blake hangs on. So James Blake getting this second set turned back around. He's 2 games away from a final set for a spot in the round of 16.
he didn't know where they were. They had to be somewhere. Now we know. Probably slipping around as well,
James Blake feeling much better here on this changeover. Up 4-1 in the second after dropping the first set 6-4. He's built this 4-1 lead in only 20 minutes. Ramos, all three of his aces have been in this set. But he hasn't had the same effectiveness off the ground.
Okay, Ramos, full change of lead.
Back-to-back aces. And he stays within striking distance.
Blake leads 4 games to 2.
Just put them straight in the box there. Straight in, the new ones are out. Put them in the box, otherwise they might fall in the court. Open the door and put them in the box.
Got a ball change coming out. Blake, obviously
Thanks,
in the tail end of his career now, but has experimented with some other things. He did some commentating earlier this year for Tennis Channel on the Davis Cup tie that the U.S. had. He's making us look bad, though, Jason, because he said it was the easiest thing he's ever done.
15 love.
That's what a lot of people think.
But he has the advantage of still being playing, so he said he would practice with the team in the morning and then commentate on their matches in the afternoon, and he knew everything to say. He's doing that commentating for those of you in our international audience for U.S. network. And he said he didn't have to do any research because he already knew all the guys. Good move forward.
40 love.
Oh.
40-15.
Now Blake, a little more work to do here. He's gone from 40 love up to 40-30.
40-13.
Poor technique. Just swinging at that ball there.
Deuce.
What should he have done there?
So a nice simple shots. No backswing, not much follow through. Just open the racket face a little more to get the necessary elevation. Choose the right target, and Bob's your uncle.
Ooh, that was dangerous. And Blake survives that missed forehand to get back to game point to keep his one-break lead alive. Right off the line, and Blake moves through, and he's a game away from a final set.
Blake leads 5 games to 2.
Blake must be doing this to relax himself. He's been watching that Jumbotron on all these changeovers.
Time.
Doesn't look like a concerned man right now.
Some players like to stay focused all the time, don't they? Daniel Day-Lewis, they don't have to break character. Others can turn it on and off, so they can relax at the change of ends and then find their focus just before they play the first points of the next game.
Ramos serving to stay in the set.
Love 15.
Nice combination of shots there. It's aggressive backhand, but hits to a safe target. Look at the height over the net there, the spin. And the target well inside the lines, but highly effective. That's the way to construct the point.
Blake batting about 500 in the winners to unforced errors in this set. 10 winners, 10 unforced errors.
Am I right in thinking that at-bat of 500 is pretty good numbers in baseball?
30,
it is a good number. Anything over 300 in baseball would be good. But in terms of tennis, obviously, you know, you want those winners to far exceed your unforced errors. But this is a step in the right direction from him compared to that first set where he was in the negative. -5 in the first set. Thank you. And that's always a stat worth looking at with James Blake because of that go for broke style he plays. He needs to keep those winners above the unforced errors to ensure success. Whoa! A laser.
Terrific forehands. Early preparation. Did well to get the return back in play relatively deep too, because it was a good serve. And that was the last shot that Ramos was expecting.
Double fault gives Blake hopes of trying to get out of this set right here. He has been a much more difficult opponent for Ramos here in the second set. And Blake's going to have set point. The barrage of Blake finally breaking down Ramos to the point he's got set point. The set ends with an exclamation point. The backhand winner sends us to a final set and sends this crowd into a frenzy. One set determines who goes to the round of 16.
Just taking a little bathroom break, perhaps just using this opportunity to get back on an even keel emotionally. So Blake joining him too. It's often the best way than sitting out there on court. But when you look at the numbers, you'll notice that Ramos' first serve percentage just dipped slightly. Blake's first serve, highly effective, won 92% of the points when that first serve found its mark. And then Sam mentioned the winners and unforced errors. What a nice situation to be in when you do indeed hit more winners than errors. 12 compared to just 10 of those. Nice variation when he came in too. Won 5 of the 6 points at the net and didn't allow Ramos a single break point opportunity throughout the course of the 8 games that they played.
Ramos left the court. Blake followed. Blake still hasn't come back for this final set, but he'll be back. Ramos winning the first set, just dropped that second set. Both sets lasting just north of a half hour. So overall, this match time, an hour, 5 minutes. Plenty left in the tank for both guys. It's typically the case with James Blake. He plays very fast. Ramos actually playing very quickly, with the exception of the changeovers in between the first game of each set that Blake's voiced a little bit of annoyance at with Jerry Armstrong. The benefit for Blake is he's going to get to serve first here in the final set after breaking to end that set. Blake trying to move into the round of 16 here. Second oldest player remaining in the tournament.
Time.
He's twice been to the quarterfinals, not since 2008, however. Momentum with James Blake right now. Let's see if he can carry it over here to this final set.
Final set, James Blake to serve.
It's a good start.
15 love.
That's an incredible shot. Really did get all of his weight onto that
30
front
love.
foot and pivot off it beautifully. It was a nice deep return initially.
88-mile-an-hour backhand. Well, this is where Blake can be so dangerous, Jason, when he gets on one of these rolls. What
40
can
love.
Ramos, what can you do to slow this down, to try to break his rhythm?
Yeah, the key is not to panic. You can't start trying to hit the ball hard as well. You've got to keep making him play like that. You've got to try and weather the
40,
storm.
15.
And of course, most importantly, you've got to take care of business on your own deal. Don't worry too much about the fact that Blake is dominating his own service games as he is here.
Game, Blake.
Blake, a very impressive opening game to this set. 3 clean
First game,
winners.
final sets.
You know, you asked what you can do against Blake when he's hitting the ball as cleanly as he did in that game. Well, you've got to get him on the back foot or you've got to push him wide. When you allow him the opportunity to get onto his front foot, then you're in trouble. And he hit both backhand winners well and truly off the front foot there. So better depth from Ramos, or perhaps use all that spin that he can hit to create a little more of an angle to force Blake wide across the baseline of those single sidelines. Because if you hit the ball relatively hard and a little short and central, then you're in real trouble, because that's right into Blake's comfort zone. Same with the serve. I don't get why you're serving to the Blake forehand there at all on the first point of your opening service game in the deciding set. You've got to go with heavy slice up the tee there, get the ball moving away from the American all the time. And that's just serving right into the honeypot.
4 of the 6 points in this set have resulted in Blake winners.
That's a better backhand, but again, I don't like the serve. He's going relatively hard.
15 all.
Blake, we know, feeds off pace, and he can generate even more when he's got some to play with. So, again, I would have expected Ramos there to go with heavy slice, short up that sideline, move Blake wide, get him out of his comfort zone.
Thirty, 15.
Listen to Ramos.
40, 15.
Ramos is pumped up back there.
Serve.
40, 30.
Take your first serve, because Blake is all over that second. So here you select your best serve and you take a bit of pace off it and make sure it finds its mark.
Really had trouble up at the net. I don't know if he's just not seeing the ball well or what, but it's
One game on.
uncharacteristic misses from Blake up there. He has not won a point in 3 tries forward in this set. And they've been pretty makeable volleys.
Oh, they have. But I like the fact that he made Blake play there.
Here's our Emirates ATP rankings factoid. He's one of 4 Spanish left-handers in the top 100. And there's not a lot of lefties in the top 100 to begin with. 4 of them from Spain.
Nothing wrong with the idea.
15 love.
Into. Didn't miss by much. Blake thought that was maybe going to fall in. That's sensational. That is the perfect way for Blake to be constructing these points. Obviously prefers the forehand over the backhand. Hit aggressively to relatively safe targets. Look at the height over the net there, the spin on the ball. Chose precisely the right moment to surge forwards and then didn't panic on the volley. Took pace off it rather than trying to add pace to that passing shot.
Love. Blake trying to go up
40 love. Game, Blake.
Crowd tells the story. James Blake's in front, but on serve here in the final set.
Blake
1-2.
leads 2
Just
games to 1.
started.
Final set.
It's a fun night to be here at the tennis, at the Sony Open. These fans in a much better mood than they were at the end of the first set when Blake had lost it. Good crowd on this Sunday night. James Blake trying to get to the round of 16.
Love.
Great hustle from Blake, but Ramos ends the point, sending it up into the stands.
30 love.
Yeah, nice pattern of play that. So if you get the serve out wide, hit the first shot into the open court, I mean, your opponent has to do a lot of running, don't they? That's a much better second serve for me. He's got it
40
to the
love.
backhand. There's no way Blake can run around and hit a forehand there. And he still wants to be aggressive, and he still will be aggressive. But of course, you're taking much more of a risk from that position with that shot. So you got a much better chance of earning a cheap point as the server.
40 love. Is too good.
It's a nice backhand, but if you want to nitpick, you suggest that you've got to cover that particular shot rather than cross court when you're playing against an opponent with a single-handed backhand.
Ramos.
Now Ramos hangs on in the end. That's what's important.
2 games all.
Blake hasn't found a way to break Ramos yet. 2-all, still anyone's match.
That was a much better service game in my mind from Ramos there. Sensible serving, construction of the points much better, aggressive hitting, but didn't look like he was going to miss any of those shots. So just needs to keep that up.
You watch a James Blake match, and it's just straightforward stuff. It's just a matter of seeing if he can execute. You know exactly what you're going to get. Just don't know how it will turn out.
Never got the feet in the right position there. They're still moving to the ball, and he hits that backhand best when he can plant the front foot and rotate the upper body around it.
Dangerous moment here for Blake.
All.
He's got the right shot, and he knows it. Never able to get himself into a good position with the feet, and just go back cross court there. Be a little more patient.
40, 30.
Wait for a better opportunity. Don't pull the trigger there.
So instead of break point for Ramos, Blake has a chance to nose in front here. Such a good quality second serve. He set the point up perfectly. Blake's having trouble coming forward in this set. Anything inside the service line he's struggling with, surprisingly, right now.
Advantage,
Quite enough
Blake.
spin on the passing shot, but I like the approach. Got it to the opponent's weaker wing. Closed out the net beautifully. Always there to be hit. It was a little short. That's where Blake likes it.
It's turning into a pivotal game here. As Blake desperately tries to hang on, hold serve. Ramos is way in front of that.
Advantage, Blake.
And Blake holds. Tightest service game he's had in this set, and he gets through it. His wife's
Blake
happy.
leads 3
So
games
most
to
of the people here in Miami. James Blake putting a little more turn of grip on that racket. Absorb the sweat. It's a humid night tonight here in Miami. And not hot by any stretch of the imagination, but a lot of moisture in the air.
Time.
Temperature is actually supposed to cool off considerably over the next few days. It has been a hot couple of days, and then tomorrow the cool down begins here. So much so that by Wednesday, the temperature supposedly during the day is going to struggle to get to 70 degrees. I'll believe it when I see it. Ramos, pressure back on the Spaniard. 2-3, final set. He's really turned around the second serve here in this set. There's no room for error. He hasn't lost a point on his second serve so far in this set. Always a key stat. Ooh, maybe he should stick with the second serve.
15 all.
There's a variation. Love that serve. Really accurate
30,
too,
50.
right in the corner there.
Five aces for Ramos. Whoa!
again, he's feeding off the pace.
30 all.
So terrific forehand from Blake, but if you're Ramos there, you've got to kind of expect that now. Blake's had a rich vein of form off the forehand.
And Blake gets to break point behind another forehand.
30-14.
First break point of the set. Well played, Ramos.
Good tennis from both, really, because it would have been easy for Blake to try and hit a winning volley in a difficult situation there, but
Deuce.
chose to keep asking Ramos the question, can you pass me? Nice little flick of the wrist there to get the necessary topspin on the final shot, and crucially didn't go too close to the line or try and hit the ball too hard. Good tennis.
Advantage, Ramos.
Ramos fights back. Blake dumps that in the bottom of the net. Ramos has got very animated back there in between the points.
Game, Ramos.
And he's fired up 3-all as he overcomes the first break point of the set.
3 games all.
Still anyone's match as the tension builds. Ace number 7 for Blake.
15 love.
Waiting on Ramos.
Didn't do enough for the return. Short, central, begging to be clubbed.
30 love.
Sensible approach shot, hit with aggression. And then as soon as he made contact with the ball, he knew the time was right to move forward, so the volley was relatively simple in the end. This one's 16 of 24 points now at the net. There's the variation. Most of the time he's gone up the line there.
40 love.
Ramos was moving in that direction to cover that one.
It's Blake's wife, Emily, their little girl, Riley. Obviously past her bedtime.
Game, Blake.
So it's a date night for
Ball
Emily and
change,
James.
please. New balls.
And James right now up 4-3 in the third.
Blake leads 4 games to 3.
Pressure falls back to Albert Ramos, who faced a break point in his last service game. The stakes are higher now. A misstep on his serve could cost him the match. Just missed.
He's got away with it, Ramos there, but that wasn't the right backhand to go to the Blake forehand on.
15 love.
I think doing it with your forehand when you can hit it aggressively as he did earlier in the rally, but you know, you can't just hit that average rally shot and drop it short. You invite Blake to really step in and generate some decent pace. 100 miles an hour, that last forehand. That's more like it. So it's an aggressive hit to the Blake forehand there, even though he's hitting the top
30
spin.
love.
Good racket head speed.
Is Ramos a player on the way up, Jason, or is he going to plateau around 50 in the world, you think?
Yeah, it's hard to suggest that he's going to mix it with the big boys on a regular basis. But, you know, increased confidence as he moves up the rankings. You never know.
He's only 25 now, which today is pretty young.
Yep. You know, you can see him knocking on the door, top 30. Play some good ball. You know, he's going to have to excel at 250 level and
40
make
love.
a push at some of the 500s, but of course on clay, Nadal plays those, and so do the majority of the other best players in the world, so it's not easy. And, the thousands, of course, are dominated by best players in the world. Always their consistency is exemplary.
So this is a great opportunity for him.
It really is.
Easy hold
Ramos.
for Ramos. And Blake will go back to serve now at 4-all.
4 games all.
Blake changing out the racket.
$15 love. Mr. Ramos challenging the call. Left near side.
Ramos is challenging this serve. He must have seen something I did, and we're right on that line. And it is good.
Mr. Ramos has 2 challenges.
Fourth ace of this set for Blake. That's the most he's had in a set.
$30 love.
I think it's a big advantage to be serving first here, Jason.
Huge. There's so much more pressure on the player that needs to hold to stay in the set and or the match. That's one of the reasons Sam
30-15.
Everybody respected the effort that Roddick put in the Wimbledon final, the Classic against Federer, 16-14, wasn't it? He kept having to serve to stay in the match, and he did it so many times in a row before eventually losing that I think everybody really knew how difficult that was for him to do, for anybody to do, and he handled it so well.
40-15.
Blake has the advantage of serving first in this set. Pressure would fall back to Ramos if he holds right here. surrenders the point. He got a couple back there. I'm sure Ramos was surprised.
Yeah, terrific start to the rally. That's where Blake got in trouble, though, because if you go aggressively up the line, then you don't have time to recover. Your opponent could just go cross-court into the open space. You're in real trouble.
Blake was up 40-15, and now deuce. It's a tense moment for him as well, whether he's serving in front or not. He's got a hold. Blake hasn't faced break point on his serve in this set. And it'll stay that way.
Advantage, Blake. Mr. Ramos challenging the call. Left service line. Ball scored in.
Another challenge of the Blake serve. Blake looking to Jerry Armstrong for his opinion, and it was good. He couldn't have walked it over there any better. That is perfect. He needs to frame that. Perfect serve. And Blake
leads 5
puts the pressure on Ramos. Ramos must hold to stay in the tournament. Big moment facing that man after this changeover. Albert Ramos, ranked 61st in the world.
Time.
Looking for an impressive result here on hard courts. He's made the third round here. Round of 16 on the line, and he must hold serve to keep that hope alive.
Love. Mr. Blake challenging the call, left service line. Ball's called in.
And it was in. There's perfectly placed serve by Ramos. Boy, these guys are hitting some lines.
Two challenges remain.
Blake's making me tired.
That's a good point from Ramos' perspective. Sensible tennis, putting an awful lot of pressure on Blake by giving him so much court to cover.
This is exactly what Ramos would have hoped for. A love hold to stay in the set. What pressure.
5 games all.
5 all.
Tennis from Ramos just doing enough in terms of the height of the net, which gave him good length. Those are the types of questions he needs to ask Blake. You know, if you're going to be aggressive, are you willing to take risks, and are you able to execute?
Outs.
Jerry Armstrong making the call from the chair. I think the linesman was unsighted.
Right,
Ramos was standing right on that line as the ball headed that way. It's right in front of Jerry Armstrong, so you know he's going to get that right.
And nice that he wanted to intervene there. You know, he thought that was a clear mistake. Didn't matter that it's a huge point.
One challenge remaining.
Good officiating.
And it puts Blake in a hole here. Love 30. Blake with a lot of work to do now. Triple break point down. He did not challenge that shot in the rally that Ramos hit.
That was the half volley, wasn't it, on the baseline? There were back-to-back shots that were very, very close from both, actually.
It's not showing that if he loses the match.
Ramos.
And that may happen. Blake has just been broken at the critical 5-all stage, and it will allow Ramos to serve for the round of 16. Ramos trying to play the role of the villain here.
Time.
By knocking out James Blake in the U.S. And his patience has been rewarded for the moment. As Blake must break now to stay alive. Only break we've had in the set in that last game. And it's Ramos who will try to serve out the match.
Love.
Ramos has never looked overwhelmed in this match. Never looked intimidated or tight. When he's been behind, he's just been outplayed. And he's on the verge of winning this match. Whoa! Maybe not.
$30-15.
Blake needs a couple more of those.
Such a sensible approach shot that. Didn't try and do too much with it, but it was highly effective with a good deal of work.
40-15.
And it brings with it match point for the Spaniard.
Game, set, a match. Ramos.
Quality win for Albert Ramos.
2-1.
He's not a clay
6-4.
quarter.
2-6, 7-5.
He's in the round of 16 of this Masters 1000 event on hard.
Ladies and gentlemen, Albert Ramos.
Albert Ramos pulls off the shocker to those Americans here, winning in 3 sets, 6-4, 2-6, 7-5 to go to the round of 16.
Will indeed be sweet 16 as far as the Spaniards concerned. Blake will be a little disappointed, an up and down performance, but there was some good stuff throughout the course of the match, no question about it. Just couldn't sustain that level of play when it really mattered, and I think most will be bitterly disappointed with the quality of that service game that cost him dear at 5-all in that deciding set, which allowed the Spaniard to sign off as champion. Well, in that third set, posted some really good numbers because 75% of first serves found their mark. But the big difference, of course, was the quality of the second serve and the way that he was able to defend it. Remember, in the first 2 sets, Ramos only won 2 of 16 points when Blake got a look at his second serve, whereas in that deciding set, he won all 8 points when he was down to his weaker offering. So that's really good stuff. You always look for players to improve their numbers throughout the course of the match, and that's certainly something that Ramos did. Unforced errors, 4 in the first set, 10 in the second, so that escalated a little bit, but he managed to bring that number down a little bit in that deciding set as well. So good stuff from the Spaniard.
An impressive win for the 25-year-old Spaniard, Albert Ramos, and he sets up a meeting with Jürgen Meltzer, so a very realistic shot for either of those guys to get to the quarterfinals. No big favorite.